Once the funeral ended and everyone went back to their lives, it was just mom, my younger brother, and me trying to survive. That was when the real nightmare began. And losing my mom when we were so young, it just made everything harder because, as I said, we were not really close with family. So my brother was so young. My sister was in high school. So I had to figure out how to handle the monster in the house. And the only person who would have helped or who would have understood was my mom, but she's not there anymore.
This is the Unapologetic mic, where unspoken words finally find a voice. No scripts, no filters, no judgment. Speak your truth, own your story.
Okay. Dear Dad, I still don't know how to talk about you without feeling something break inside me. So many years have passed since we lost you, yet sometimes it still feels unreal. There are days when I sit quietly and try to remember your voice, your laugh, the way life felt when you were still here, and I realize how much of my life has been shaped by your absence. People always say time makes things easier, but I don't think they understand what it means to lose someone who was part of the foundation of your world. Before everything changed, we were just a normal family trying to live and love each other. It was me, my sister, and later our baby brother. Home felt warm back then. I remember laughter. I remember feeling safe. I remember how much I loved my sister. Even though she was still so young, she followed me everywhere, and I genuinely enjoyed being around her. She was not just my sister, she was my small best friend. Then 2008 came and took everything from us. When my sister died from pneumonia, I do not think my heart fully understood what was happening. One moment she was alive, and the next she was gone. We buried her in May, and I remember looking around wondering how the world was still moving normally while ours had completely fallen apart. Losing her created a kind of emptiness I had never felt before. The house became quieter. Life became heavier. I was already struggling to understand that pain when, only weeks later, we lost you too. Dad, I do not think I have ever recovered from that season of my life. My birthday falls in early June, right between the months we lost both of you. Because of that, birthdays have never been joyful again. Every year, when May, June, and July arrive, something inside me changes. I become emotional without even trying. I withdraw from people. I stop talking as much. Sometimes I sit alone and cry over memories that never really left me. I still miss you in ways I cannot properly explain. What hurts even more is what happened after we buried you. Once the funeral ended and everyone went back to their lives, it was just mom, my younger brother, and me trying to survive. That was when the real nightmare began. Your family turned against us in ways I still struggle to understand. Instead of protecting us after losing you, they made our lives unbearable. For years, we lived in fear. Men would come to our house at night demanding money we did not have. We were robbed over and over again. Some nights we barely slept because we did not know who would show up at our door. One night, mom was almost killed. Looking back now, I realized she carried so much pain while still trying to protect us from falling apart completely. What broke me even more was how people treated us afterward. Instead of compassion, there were rumors. Neighbors whispered terrible things about my mom. Some accused her of causing the deaths in our family. After everything that happened, I became physically sick from stress and trauma. I developed ulcers. But even when people continued talking badly about her, as though our suffering was something we deserved, the rejection from your side of the family stayed with me deeply because I was still a child trying to understand why people who are supposed to love us suddenly treated me like I did not matter. I remember visiting grandma alongside my cousins. She welcomed them warmly, smiled at them, spoke kindly to them, and prepared food for them while acting as though I was invisible. I remember greeting her and getting no response back. I remember watching my cousins eat eggs while I sat there pretending not to notice that nobody had offered me anything. I remember my aunts bringing sweets and biscuits for everyone else and then saying there was nothing left for me, even when I could still see the packets sitting there. Eventually, I stopped going because rejection becomes exhausting when you experience it over and over again. A child begins wondering what is wrong with them when love is constantly withheld. In 2016, while I was in school, my mom encouraged me to call grandma and greet her. I did. I spoke to her normally and told her I would visit once school closed. That same night, she passed away. What followed shattered something inside me. During the burial, one of my aunts accused me of causing her death. She called me a murderer and warned my cousins to stay away from me. I was just a child hearing those words, but they stayed in my mind for years afterwards. For a long time, I carried guilt that never belonged to me. Sometimes trauma is not only what happens to you, but also the things people convince you to believe about yourself afterward. Sometimes I fear marriage because I watched what happened to my mom after losing you. I saw how quickly love and family could turn into cruelty. I saw how vulnerable a woman becomes after losing her husband. I saw how easily society judges people without knowing their pain. Even today, there are members of your family I cannot bring myself to speak to. Not because I enjoy holding on to pain, but because some wounds were never acknowledged, never apologized for, and never given space to heal properly. But through everything, I miss you, Dad. I miss the comfort of having a father. I miss the life we could have had if you were still here. I miss the version of me that existed before grief entered our home. Every May, June, and July, my heart still becomes heavy all over again. Some nights I still cry when nobody is watching, and no matter how much time passes, I do not think I will ever stop wishing you had stayed longer. Love always, your daughter. Wow, that is something. I can see here she lost her dad in 2008. I remember I lost my mom in 2007. And she has gone through so much loss. I feel so bad for her. Okay. So one of the things I can relate to here is after a funeral. Nobody really talks about what happens after the funeral, the event, the occasion, Nobody really. Sometimes people stay for a week at most. Sometimes people stay for a day or two, but everybody goes back to what they were doing. Everybody goes back to normalcy. And you are left there to pick up whatever it is, pick up pieces, pick up anything really and everything. I remember after after my mom died. And it was just us, that is, my siblings and I, and my dad. You know, as I said, after the occasion, which is the funeral, right? Everybody leaves and everybody goes, and you're just left there. It's hard. And everybody expects you, they'll give you a time to grieve. But after that, they're like, you need to go back to being okay, to being normal. They'll give you a time period. After maybe a month, you know, people start looking at you weird. Why aren't you back to being okay? But people really don't understand. It's like someone cuts off your arm or your leg, and they expect you to go back to being normal and do the things with the arm or the leg that has been cut off and be okay and just continue with life, you know? For me, we were never really close with my siblings then. My brother was really young. My sister was older than me. And when my mother passed away, I was in primary school, junior school. And one of the things I can relate to is that nothing is ever the same. We're left in the hands of my dad, who really didn't know how to take care of children, let alone himself. And when everybody went back to their lives, we were left there to fend for ourselves. And which is a whole other topic for another day. Sorry. Which is a whole other topic for another day. The grief that comes with losing a loved one, with losing a parent, with losing, can I say, the anchor per se, or that one person in your family who, if they're not there, no one really cares. You know, nobody really looks after you, or nobody really, like, from the story I have read, the relatives turned against her. Like, literally everything around her stopped. And it just kept on going downhill from there. I relate to that because before that, we were not really very close with family, you know, family events here and there. But after that, everybody goes back to their lives. And losing my mom when we were so young, it just made everything harder because, as I said, we were not really close with family. So we just had to make do, you know, move on with life without the person who was supposed to protect you, the person who was supposed to stand up for you, you know. In the letter that I've read, she said, people, even the relatives, they stopped talking to them. They treated them badly. This means without the dad there, they were not held to high esteem, if I can say that, or held to anything. For us in our nuclear family, I cannot talk much on the extended family because I said we were not very close then. But for the nuclear family where we were after my mom died, it was hard. Obviously, when someone dies, it's not easy, but it's also not easy to be left with an abuser. Can I talk about that? My dad was not the best father. He was very abusive. He was very towards my mom. And I remember thinking, God, why don't you just take this man? He gives us so much pain. Just take this man, leave me with my mom, who, my mom always trying to, take care of us and everything. Because my dad wouldn't provide. So my mom used to do everything she could to be able to provide for us. And I remember it was first term in school. Then second term rolls around. I remember I made that wish in first term. Second term rolls around. It's sports day in school. I'm excited because I'm going to see my mom. My dad shows up also. It's like, oh yeah, great, hi. Then she promised me she would come back to get me when school's closed, because that time she was not living with us. She had just recently moved out because of my dad's violence. So I remember I waited, and then they came and picked us from school, and it was like, I was like, what are you guys doing? First of all, we have music festivals. Okay, I am the lead singer. Like, guys, we are not doing this. Anyway, we went home, found out that my mother had passed away. And I remember my world stopped. Because what do you do when the person who's supposed to protect you is no longer there? For those who come from abusive families, they know how a father or the main abuser can separate their partner from their families. That's what my father had done. And now it was just my mom. She was the only hope I had for, having, just experiencing life or any semblance of normalcy in life. The funeral came around and it was chaotic. It was chaotic to say the least because of the tribes. My mom was Nandi, my dad is a Kikuyu. That is, there was a lot of chaos. My dad not wanting to bury my mom because, I don't know, maybe one day he'll tell us why. And the funeral came and went. And I remember when we were going home, I was thinking, I just want to see pictures of her. So when we got home, I went through the photo albums. For us millennials, we know we used to have photo albums then. And my dad had removed every single picture of her. I couldn't find one anywhere. And I couldn't ask because I didn't want my dad's wrath on me or anything of the sort. So I just ignored it. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. I still have memories of her. Going back to school, I used to put flowers where we sat for the visiting because we couldn't visit her grave. She was buried in a public cemetery where we can't even visit because we don't even know, the way public cemeteries, sometimes they shift stones and all that. And my dad really didn't care that much. So I used to put flowers where we previously met. I know it's odd, but grief is something, it's not something there's no book per se to tell you how to deal with grief, how to handle it. And now we were here left alone in the hands of someone who really didn't take care of us, which is besides the point. My point is, when you lose someone like that in your life, be it a parent, be it a friend, be it whoever it is, and they were the sole protector, right? She was She was the one who was providing for us. She was the one who was taking care of us. She was the one who would listen to us, and everything and anything. And you lose that. I don't think there's a feeling, there's a word to express that feeling of being alone, that you know that you're totally and completely alone. No one is coming to help you. No one is coming to save you. Even listening, who do you talk to? And that feeling of being alone grew when there were no photos in the house. There were no photos of her anywhere. She used to write me letters in school. When I went back to school, I found the teacher had taken all the letters she had written to me. And I asked, why would you do that? And they were like, you need to focus on school. Her loss made me feel alone. And I was alone. And it took me years because it never ends. I was young then. I was in class 7, grade 7, for those, And I'm still here, trying not to cry my eyes out because it never really ends. Grief never really stops. There's a quote that says, the world continued spinning, and I never forgave it for that. I never forgave the world, the universe, whoever is in charge, whoever is not in charge. Because why would you take the one person who would take care of us and leave us alone? My brother was so young. My sister was in high school. So I had to figure out how to handle the monster in the house. And the only person who would have helped or who would have understood was my mom, but she's not there anymore. I've always wondered to this day, what would happen if she was around? Would she take us? Because that's what she was working on, taking us away from that house. Let me just put it like that. The what ifs are so many. But this is the world we live in. This is the reality that has been handed to me. There's no linear way to get over grief. It doesn't have a time frame. All I just would like anyone who's going through it, and I know at least now there's the internet because I found my community online. Then I was just alone. My point is just to say you are not alone. Especially those who are in abusive households or in abusive situations where the only person who can get you out dies. Leaving is different from dying. If someone leaves, at the back of your mind, you're like, okay, maybe I can call them if there's an emergency, or maybe one day they'll change their mind, But when someone dies, that's it. There's no more. There's nothing but memories. So I just really wanted to share so that whoever it is, I'll say that again, whoever is in an abusive situation and you have nowhere to go because someone died and you're left alone, I don't know how or what to tell you when it comes to moving on I don't even think there's a moving on. There's grief, and there's learning how to live with that grief without it consuming you. You are not alone. That's why we share our stories, so that just so that you can know you are not alone. If my mom was here, first I'd apologize to her, because she did not deserve what she went through. She did not deserve the abuse. She did not deserve any of it. And I would just like to tell her that I'm sorry for everything. She deserved better. Life update, I'd like to tell her that I did it. We made it out alive. Because living with an abusive father is not easy, especially if he wants to unalive you, you know. Made it out alive without being a junkie, you know, without losing my mind. I made it out alive. And I have a daughter now. And she looks just like you, with long hair, just like yours. And I named her after you because you were my everything at one point in time. Now my daughter is. We we made it out. And we're alive. That's my life update. To the writer, you've gone through so much grief, more than many people do, more than you've lost your sister, you lost your father. There is no linear way. There is no way for me to say. I usually don't like when people tell you, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Or, you know, things are gonna get better. That's like my worst one, to be honest, because it doesn't feel like it. It's been what? How many years? Decades later, and it's not better. Just learn how to live with it. So for the writer, cry when you need to cry. I mean, it doesn't hurt anyone to cry. Cry if you need to, when you need to. Do small things that you know your dad would love. Your sister, you said, she's your best friend. If there's a song she likes or she liked, my mom used to listen to Sarah K a lot, and I still listen to Sarah K because she introduced me to her, and I feel like it's continuity, I guess. Anything healthy to be able to handle the pain. For anyone else who has experienced grief, I am so sorry for your loss. I am so sorry for losing the person you loved. And I know when someone tells you, I'm so sorry, like, you didn't cause it, okay? Why are you telling me you're sorry? But as someone who's gone through grief too, We hear you. Don't let it consume you. We are here. That's why we have avenues like this, so that you can know you're not alone. We hear you and we will hold your hand through it, be it years, be it days. There's nothing I can say to make it feel better, to make it easier. Nothing. One thing I learned about grieving, sometimes you just need someone to be there for you. You don't need to talk. We don't need to do whatever, Just know that we are here. We hear you. We love you. And you are not alone. Don't let it consume you. It may not get better with time, but as the world moves, so do we. I don't even do a day at a time. I do a moment at a time. That's how I've been living for years. I just take every moment and live in that moment, because a day at a time is so much. It's 24 hours. That's a lot. A moment at a time, and hopefully it will get better to navigate life with the grief and the loss you're experiencing. Gosh, I miss my mom.